What up, Schmoedown rockers? Alright. Here we go, guys. The New York live event. So, also, round one itself continues. Before anything even happened, apparently for the first time ever, we get an apparent marriage proposal before the event itself starts. Also, I think Emma had already mentioned that RMB is no longer running the tournament anymore, because now that she's back in power, she is basically null and voided that from him. Though we probably knew that and needed to make sure the nuke worked, and we'll eventually see what that nuke is. But yeah, at some point, which might be by the end of the year, more than likely, and it'll probably screw up a lot of rules and change a bunch of stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. We shall see what happens with that. But anyways, whew. Yeah. So now we get to, and this is the second New York Live event. This one apparently in Brooklyn, and not unless the other one was Brooklyn. This one is, unless this one's Manhattan, the other one's Brooklyn. I don't remember, but because I'm not from New York, so I don't know all the ins and outs of that stuff. So yeah. Also, the hat is out of commission temporarily for reasons I will not disclose. Sorry, I see some stuff on my camera. Anyway, I'll deal with it later. So, now round one has continued from where we left off from last week's matches, which is this time Ethan Irwin versus Haley Fouch. A lot could have happened. Haley Fouch could have pulled an upset, but it's pretty clear. Yeah, Ethan had the more live show advantage, and it was more the fact that, the last time he was there and he lost, it was because Merle had to play a perfect game to beat Irwin just to get that title. And he did. And that was what Dan had done. Even though he no longer has the belt, and now Oyama does. It's funny how it works. And now he's round one match, and just didn't work out for Fouch all that well. And, she lost by TKO, via TKO, which was more unfortunate because he was so close on that 5-pointer to at least get her out of TKO range to force Ethan to answer questions. Didn't happen. Ethan did well. Jade wasn't able to make it, but Janine was able to, because she kind of, I guess, lives closer around New York. So it just happens to work out that way, I guess. So just having Time Machine in general there was nice. And apparently it seems Time Machine versus Scream Queens is going to be a match for the team tournament. So we have that sort of rematch to look forward to. And just Haley hasn't had the best luck this year, at least for her singles career. Even more so with what's happened since Scream Queens kind of got back together post last year's Season 5's Anarchy. Season 6 has not been a very magical season for her. Poor Haley Fouch, but we know she's grown, and hopefully with Season 7 coming around the bend, hopefully, it will work itself out for her to finally really push herself up there. Hell, I'm surprised Zipper isn't even in the tournament. That's an even more surprising thing. Guess he just wasn't able to make it or something. I don't know. Or he didn't have enough credibility to be able to push for that, I guess. I really don't know why he's not even in it. That's what baffles me, to be honest. But, oh well. I guess he just wasn't able to schedule it in. Because he would have been able to qualify. I think he would have. Hell, I'm starting to wonder if maybe he might have been instead of if Preston didn't win. That would have been interesting. But anyway. Since it was better off, because it seems since Del Rio wasn't going to be able to make it, and he would have chosen someone else instead of Preston, so it just better off Preston won it anyway. Even though he's going to wind up facing Lon Harris anyway. We don't know if that... I'm guessing that might be the next matchup. I don't know. I'll probably watch it after I'm done with this. We'll see what the next round one match is following that. But yeah, it just didn't work in her favor. But she loved the crowd despite the fact that she just wasn't able to focus. And it seems they need to do something about it, because if something happens and they go international with it, which is going to be more expensive, to be honest. Yeah, they're going to have to. They are going to have to come up with some way to kind of help them drown out the crowd, get them the focus they need to, because it's clear she lost whatever focus she had. Ethan was able to work in it because he's just that knowledgeable. But other than that, the title match, Kaiser wasn't able to make it in time. He got kicked, I guess, according to storyline purposes, he got kicked off his flight because RMB's, for some reason, RMB's being a douche. Which, it's okay to say he's not running the thing anymore. You know, hell, we'll hate him even more once we find out what it is that Christian allowed him to do with the Duke. So, we're basically saying our commissioners and us, the fans, are going to hate it. So I'm not looking forward to it, but yeah, that's still going to bother me until we find out what it is. As long as we have these tournaments to hold us over until we find out what that is. Hell, I'm going to be surprised if he announces it during a live event. Well, anyway. The whole thing with Oyama versus Snyder. Would it be nice for Snyder to have had a win? Sure. Sure it would have been nice if Snyder had a win. Just not so much Roxy with the consistent mouthing of our boy Kaiser. And it's not like... And it's just was happenstance. And all because, oh, he's not there. But the proof's in the pudding. And the pudding that is in the dungeon tastes very sweet right now, so to speak. I'm either pulling a Kaiser or Dagnino. I'm not sure which one. Speaking of that, I'm actually looking forward to what may be a follow-up Manager Bowl going into the Schmoedown Spectacular of Kaiser, of potentially, from what I've been hearing, of Kaiser versus Dagnino versus R&B versus Jay Washington. That's going to be interesting. For sure. Well, I don't know what will be at stake for that, other than unless it's maybe just what we've used to have with the Manager Bowl beforehand. And seeing who will have a number one contendership. Maybe that's what we'll have again. Who knows? Who the fuck knows at this point? But yes, I had Oyama because of the dungeon. It's a live event, and the way this match went, I mean, we got a sudden death, but it wasn't a worthwhile sudden death, especially when you got to compare it to Cushing versus Kalinowski too. Yet alone, what we got for a match, even with the follow-up in the last live event in San Diego, had more interesting. I had more at stake in that too compared to this one, so that might have played a part in it too. But not to mention, someone in the fucking live crowd fucking mouthed off and mentioned something before Oyama had to say something, which could have put him further in the lead. And of course, Snyder, knowing Snyder, he'd be on that shit like a hawk, which he did. And Oyama doesn't blame him. And even, yeah, of course, first time ever since. Of course, to be fair, I don't know if I remember them ever saying anything, at least on video in this live event, about shutting the fuck up. Which may as well be on them too, if that is the case. Granted, everyone else who's been at a live event and all the other fans would know better and would have said something to this guy to not do what he did. Plus, Kaiser not showing up did a little piss me off a little bit. Hell, Kaiser's gonna... Hell, hopefully he'll show up and help out the dungeon. And help out D2, our boys in D2A, going up against Call to Action. Mostly just, even though most of Call to Action is a part of the dungeon, whether they're willing to admit it or not, since some of them are more for the family, but what the fuck ever there. Understandably, I mean, McQueenie's awesome. Guys here nor there with me. Same with R&B. Hell, I'm just mostly just jealous because he's always... Because too many chicks I like are guy girls, and it's like, come on! Come on! Just give... It's like, come on. And yeah, he's apparently an actual nice dude, and Mama Guy is awesome. He's awesome. Horns up. Salute to Mama Guy. As we all should. Even in the dungeon. We should do so. So, yeah. I pulled out the win. Thank God. But it was... He could have dropped the ball really badly. He's lucky that, Snyder dropped the ball with his 5-pointer, so it wasn't as bad with him to drop the ball in his 5-pointer, making it kind of ironic that, of all things, with how it started for him winning that one title run he had with Patriots and losing that title run, and once again it coming back and biting him in the ass, Robert Duvall comes in and becomes the answer to the Invasion of the Body Snatchers question, which was a tough question. I wouldn't have gotten it myself. So it was kind of funny that he pulled the Robert Duvall and won it. Because Snyder didn't have it. And also, during that, I don't think he used up more than one repeat before he had to use it for his 5-pointer. If I'm not mistaken, he should have had one more repeat. And of course, that was a screw-up, and I don't think he hurt him that he could have used another repeat. If he hadn't done that screw up, I'm sure Oyama would have used his other repeat, and maybe he would have figured it out. And maybe he might have actually gotten the answer and have been done, and we wouldn't have had a sudden death. Thank God. Because now it's like, because once again, Roxy used that opportunity. He's like, he didn't get it because, hell, I love my D2A boys. They pointed it out. Because Shawshank Redemption is a movie lover's movie. And even that's something that even Snyder himself shouldn't have fucking missed. But he second-guessed himself. A lot. And the only thing that kept him from possibly going to the point of what he did with the Bibiani match, Roxy was able to put him out of that to keep him going, just not enough to get him to where he needed to go to win, to pull out that win. He psyched himself out. And it seems Oyama kind of slightly did too, but he just got lucky, man. And I'm glad he managed to pull out the win that he did. So, because the dungeon needed this, even though Oyama was doing fine before he was officially part of the dungeon, but still. It was nice to have that helping hand of at least having our boy Smets there as a backup plan in case of... Since Kaiser wasn't able to be there when he needed to be there. But I loved the video we did there. And of course, we have a post interview for the announcement to going into Orlando, what our main event is going to be. No surprise, we finally get an answer to it. And of course, we figured he was going to use it for the team titles. And he decided we're going to get Corruption versus Founding Fathers 3. Merle cashes it in for his championship belt shot to be number one contenders going into Orlando with the finals for the singles tournament being the undercard. So, and unfortunately also the news that the Arizona live event will not happen, and it has now been turned into, and however they've managed to make it work out for it to become the whole thing be a Schmoedown Throwdown in its place. And I guess all the people who did buy a ticket eventually, I guess they decided to make it up to us, and for those who get tickets to Orlando, they would do a pre-fan thing, I guess. And that would go over, I guess, kind of well-ish, maybe. Yeah. But overall, I enjoyed this matchup. It was awesome. And yeah, I really dug this. I dug the fact that Oyama needed to have the win. The dungeon needed the win, especially given Kaiser needed it, especially given the circumstances. And I am sick and tired of Roxy's fucking mouthing off. Yeah, you worked things out with Smets, but clearly you're not with Kaiser. Which Kaiser's got, as far as I'm concerned, Smets and Kaiser, they brothers to the end. And I respect that even more. Even more so that he's willing to help and do what he needed to do for Oyama in place of Kaiser, because he knew of circumstances. He it's not that he didn't think things through about it, but yeah, it just happened to not work itself out. And I'm glad things are, and hopefully that it may work out for that charity match coming up in a month or so between between Call to Action and D2A reaction channels. I kind of like my Call to Action boys and girls, but especially one of them being St. Louis homie, and Danny Koss, I love you. I don't know if you're part of it, going to be part of the three-way team match, but yeah, our D2A boys are gonna. I'm gonna have to go with the D2A boys since they got Kaiser, you know. Of course, I need to do more fan research, fan matchup research. Hell, I should have learned that more so with Smets and of course Oyama on top of even to some degree Ellison, but more so, you know, that thing with Smets and stuff, which Smets already got me, and got me hooked immediately, and I was like, yes, and that's why I formed the page. Y'all know how it is there. So other than that, yeah. Not sure where the tournament's going next. I know we're still continuing with the singles tournament. We already know the next live event is when we're going to have other things happening besides the tournament, so we shall see what happens there. Tournament's going to continue this week, and we'll talk about it next week. Let's see. And of course, the golden ticket win for whoever. And speaking of D2A, I think Nico's going to try to do something about that, and apparently he wants to go for Chris Jericho, since he's thinking about wanting to join the Schmoedown, which would be interesting. Not gonna lie, it'd be interesting. No, it's even gonna be more interesting once Smets does. Hell, I'd laugh if Roxy decides to manage him. Who knows? That'd be some funny shit too. Though I am sick of her bad-mouthing my band Kaiser. Hell, we both also have some interesting tastes in music. Speaking of which, if you haven't checked out my Tool Fear Inoculum review, please check that out. Awesome. Really good. For what it is. So, other than that, guys, I think that's about it. Yeah. Aside from what was to be said for what's next in the tournament, I guess, for singles. And then eventually we'll get to teams. Don't know when they're going to. I guess once they're done with singles, they'll probably get to teams. I don't know if it's going to have something to do with teams, because I'm getting tired of them fucking messing with the teams right now. But anyway, what did you guys think of the matches? Leave a comment below. Let me know. Rock that like button with thrust if you must. Also, link in the description below to my Facebook page. Like and follow me there as well. Also, when you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube, before you do that, while you're still on the YouTube page, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell to see more videos on me, to keep up on videos with me, with my bearded ass, and yeah, and all things involving Schmoedown rocks. And yeah, as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking into Schmoedown. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown and Schmoedown rocks. is cooking.